How's it going? My name is Scarlet and welcome to Poke Forward. Let's get right into the information. So, you guys may know that yesterday we got the reveal of the DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which is going to be the hidden treasure of Area Zero. It's going to come in 2 parts, and we have a bunch of stuff to talk about. One of those things is we have every single Pokemon that's returning already revealed. This has already been confirmed. We already have the information on it. It was pretty much leaked. They made a massive mistake with the 1.2.0 patch, which came out yesterday. They actually made a big mistake with that and basically leaked the full list of Pokemon. So I thought we'd start with that, and then we're going to go through this massive kind of theory post coming to us from Atto, which is really great. But yes, so all these are up on Makio and J. Rose's website, Poke OS, and here's basically the Pokemon that are returning. Now, I do apologize if you can't see them all, but for the most part, what we have here is Gen 1-wise, we got the Bulbasaur line, the Squirtle line, we got Ekans, Sandshrew, Clefairy, Vulpix, Oddish. We also have Poliwag, Bellsprout, Tentacool, Geodude, Doduo, Seal, Execute, Hitmonlee, Hitmonchan, Koffing, Rhyhorn, Rhydon, Horsea, Seadra, Electabuzz, Magmar, Lapras, Porygon, Snorlax, Chikorita, Bayleaf, and Meganium, of course, as well, with, the whole evolutionary line. We also have the Cyndaquil line, of course, the Totodile line. So I think every single, as far as I'm aware, as far as I learned, every single one of the starters, besides the Unova starters, are coming back. Sentret is here, Hoothoot's here, Spinarak, Chinchou, Cleffa, Blossom, Politoed, Apom, Yanma, Gligar, Snubbull, and as well as Slugma, Swinub, Skarmory, Kingdra, Porygon 2, Smeargle, Tyrogue, Hitmontop, Elekid, Magby, Trico line, Torchic line, Mudkip line, Poochyena and its line, Lotad, Ludicolo, Seedot, and of course all those Pokemon as well there. We also have Nosepass, Plusle, Minun, Volbeat, Trapinch. We've got Corphish, Phoebus, we got Duskull. Again, you can pause the video at any point. Chimecho as well, Beldum line, Turtwig, Chimchar, and Piplup line. Cranidos, Shieldon, so that's great. We got some of the fossils. Ambipom, we got Chingling, we got Munchlax, we've got Electivire, Magmortar's Rhyperior, Yanmega, Gliscor, Mamoswine, Porygon Z, Probopass, Dusknoir, Blitzel, Zebstrike, Drillbur, Excadrill, and Timber and Girder. So we got loads of those coming back. We continue on. We got Seawaddle, we got Cottonee, Scraggy, we've got Mincho, we've got Solosis, we've got Ducklet, Joltik, Letwick, Mienfo. We also got Golett, we've got Vullaby, we've got Esper, we've got Inkay, we've got Phantom. We also have Rowlet, Litten, Poplio, as well as Pikipek and Grubbin. That whole evolutionary line. Cootiefly, Dewpider is here too. Just again, going through these very quickly. We have loads of Minior, Jangmo, we've got Cramorant, Milcery, Alcremie, Morpeko, Duraludon, Wurdeer, Cleavor, Ursaluna, Basculegion, Sneasler, Overquill, Enamorus, Okidogi, of course, there's some of these brand new Pokemon. So yeah, those are the returning Pokemon. That's just one of the things we're talking about today, but I want to now go over to the actual theories, because there are loads of those, and there's some really cool stuff that I want you guys to learn about. So here is a thread from Atto. Shout out to Atto on Twitter. Don't know why I'm not following Atto. Weird of me. I thought I followed him, but either way, check out Atto's Twitter account. It's at Atto18. He has a massive theory here for a bunch of this stuff. So he says, as for each of the trailers for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, I present you an analysis and theory around the DLC. Now, in the Teal Mask, which is the first part of the DLC, if you guys don't know that, we have something interesting to say here. So he says, we will surely find ourselves in a region with strong Japanese inspiration. Kitakami, I think is what it's called, which is an actual prefecture in Japan, a real place. Surely during a festival, we also noticed the new legendary Pokemon in the form of statues, showing the existence of a sort of cult around them. He assumes this could maybe us being going back to sort of a Johto type region, which this could be a good indication or hint towards us going back to Johto, because it's a Japanese region and it has very much like a very strong Japanese aesthetic, which for example Kanto didn't have as much of that, with a little bit of hints here and there, but Johto 100,000% had the Japanese kind of Kyoto type aesthetic, right? Like really emphasized like the Japanese culture and all that. And this DLC really is doing that as well. He continues on and says, if we look at the masks, we can distinguish 3 masks of unknown Pokemon, and the last represents the legendary Pokemon. For the green dog and the blue one, I have no idea, but the pink mask reminds me of Ledian. So if you look at these masks, yeah, we've got Eevee, Pikachu, and then we have these 3 kind of a dog. We've got like whatever this thing is and whatever this thing is, and of course the legendary at the bottom here, like close to my camera, as you might see. So again, very strange, not really sure what that's supposed to mean. He says the new legendaries in the first DLC, Monkidori, Okidogi, Fezandipiti, and Ogerpon. Now, for their types, we can theorize with the logo on the lanterns that they might be Ghost, Fighting, Grass, and Ghost fighting, grass, and dark. Which I guess you can kind of guess off of these. Yeah, they've got these little logos here on those lanterns, which could be indicating of the typings. He says, finally, we notice the presence of 2 new characters who will accompany us during this adventure in the DLC. We know the name of these. It's Carmen and Kieran, which are the 2 new rivals that we will meet in this region, and then they will also go to the Blueberry Academy with us. Now, let's move on to the second DLC, the Indigo Disc, where we'll find a rival school. The DLC seems to focus on fights with a form of a new Elite Four, which kind of does seem like the case, because there is 4 of them, to be fair, 4 characters on the right side. It says there, for their type, I would say fire for the boy with cooking clothes, steel for the girl with the glasses. Her hair looks like screws, which is true. You can kind of tell that from the design. Fairy for the girl in the pink coat. And for the last one, I hesitate between poison and dark. With the view of his outfit, even if it's a ghost type, it will suit him. You could even argue that it could be like a water type because there's some water flowing around him. But again, I could be wrong. That's kind of the feeling I'm getting. Either way, our new legendary seems to be at the origin of terrestrial crystallization. And I think we'll have a similar ability as Arceus. Because yes, it has all the typings on it, as you may notice with all the logos. So that is very strange. He says, Carmen and Kieran are siblings and come to Paldea from the Myrtile Institute. And I don't have much to say about it except the possible dragon type team for Carmen, which, okay, fair enough. He says the following. Finally, in a view of the names of the DLC, evoking the Zero Zone, or Area Zero, I think that we will have to use the teacher's machine in order to travel between the regions, whether voluntary or by accident. I don't really know if that's going to be the case, personally. Now we know that our adventure will take place in a new region, strongly inspired by Japan, at the foot of a huge mountain, plus the evocation of the name Indigo, we will inevitably come near Kanto and Johto, which, yes, the Indigo Plateau, the Indigo League or whatever, if you want to think about it like that, which makes sense. It is indicated on the official site that we will be near a mountain in a rice-growing region which corresponds to the region of Chubu in Japan, located between the Kanto region and the Kansai region, which inspired the Johto, in a still unexplored part, not far from Mount Silver. So as you guys can see right here, if you look at all the regions, you got Hokkaido on the top right there, and then if you look at the Kanto region, that's kind of where Tokyo's located and all that. And then if you go further down here to like the Kansai region, that's where Kyoto is, and that's sort of, I would assume, what, personally, as far as I'm aware, what Johto is inspired by and based on. And the fact that they mention a mountain, I mean, you got Mount Fuji, which is, if I think based on this map, Mount Fuji should be around like where the number 21 is right there. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure that's like close to where it's supposed to be, or it could be a little bit further down, but I think that's like around the area it should be, or it's a bit further up, like around 20 or 10, somewhere around there. It's in that middle section of Japan where is where it's located. And then of course, don't forget, we do also have the 2 regions connected to each other, Kanto and Johto, which are physically right next to each other. Think of like the Kansai region, and of course the Kanto region. They're right next to each other, literally, like geographically speaking. But we've never gone to the Tohoku region up here. We have been to Hokkaido, that's Sinnoh, and we have been to like the island one, which is Okinawa and those guys down there. That is what Hoenn and them are based on for the most part. I also think Kyushu and Okinawa are together, kind of what they based Hoenn on. But yeah, we've never really went to, never went to Tohoku. And I guess now this could be a good indication, just based on the style of this place. It's very traditional Japanese. It could be the perfect way to lead us into the next game for next year, which I still think is going to be a Johto game. It's got to be some kind of Johto game. Johto hasn't gotten a secondary remake, but Kanto has. Kanto got a remake with Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee. But Johto hasn't. You can say like, yeah, we got Heart Gold Soul Silver, but that's an old remake. I'm talking about these kind of new remakes they're doing. I mean, BDSP even got like, not BDSP, but Sinnoh even got Legends Arceus. So there definitely seems like there's going to be something Johto related next year. But this is not all there is to say about this. There is something to say about these 3 new Pokemon that we already talked about. Now, interestingly, it does look like these are based on an actual legitimate like story within Japan. And this is posted by R. James, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit here so you guys can see what the post says if you don't want to listen to me talking about it. But here's what it says. So, fun fact and lore theory. The teal mask is going to be a direct inspiration from the legend of Momotaro. This can be seen with this companions of the dog, the monkey, and the bird, which, yes, this is perfectly matches with what we see here. We do have a dog-looking Pokemon, a monkey, and a bird. So this perfectly relates to this, I guess, story or folklore within Japan. But there is more to say about it. I think some other people have had a bit more insight on this, and there's also further insight specifically on the third legendary, which is also seemingly based on something in this case, which here's coming to us from Eteri, who says, take this into account. Terrapagos, which is the third legendary, the big turtle here, might be based in the turtle from Urashima Taro, which actually makes sense because the Taro and Terra actually kind of makes sense that they fit in naming. We may be following an inspiration of Japanese tales, Monogatari, for both DLCs. And as somebody asked here, looks like we'll be playing the role of Momotaro and Ogrepon, the Oni chief. Wondering if we're going to go after the treasure, our character will deal with the magic/wishmaker mallet and invisible cloak plus hat. And Atari pretty much agrees with that. So it is kind of interesting to see where this might be going. And this post right here is from a Japanese account who says if Orgapon has a Momotaro motif, Terrapagos might have a Urashima Taro motif. So I googled Urashima Taro, and then I came across a picture like this, which literally shows a man riding on a weird-looking turtle, which is fair enough. Again, interesting connections and just an interesting situation nonetheless. We move on to another massive post here, and this is coming to us from Umino Tami, who's made a ton of theories, and here they start off with the following. When Japan learned of the art of iron making, the Yamato dynasty, now the emperor's family, proceeded to dominate the country. Kibi was inhabited by a family with superior iron manufacturing technology. Naturally, they rebelled against Yamato. This is the true identity of Oni, so I guess it's an enemy. The original Momotaro was a Yamato clan, sent to defeat the clan that lived in this Kibi. Incidentally, iron manufacturing originated in the Orient and Greece, where air was pumped through bellows to enable mass production. In the world, it happened 3,000 years ago, metal. In Japan, it happened 1,500 years ago, unknown. It is Oni, as far as I can see. Its name is Ogre. However, it appears to and looks like Tengu, which would be this thingy right here, I'm assuming, and it said that both Oni and Tengu were foreign people or foreigners who came to Japan. So I guess this thing is considered like, you know, that's why these Pokemon, which I think in a weird way almost feel like they're going to be villains. Those three Pokemon, they're not even going to be the good guys. It's kind of vibe I'm getting. And then actually this like, you know, new legendary or whatever this thing is actually going to be kind of technically a good Pokemon, but we'll see. Continues on. Naturally, iron-making technology was introduced from abroad, and as a result, it is not too much to say that Onya Tengu taught them iron-making technology. The leaves that Tengu has are Fascia japonica. Tengu sense strong wind. Originally, it is derived from a meteorite and the sound of its impact. Incidentally, primitive iron manufacturing used iron meteorites with a low melting point. And then you continue on down here. Also pointing out the same thing that we talked about earlier. By the way, Urashima Taro will ride a sea turtle to Ryugu Castle and receive a box from its princess. Her descendant is the current emperor. In other words, historically, Momotaro and Urashitaro are distant relatives, which again, really strange. There's also further information here about like what this could go with like, you know, the different like, you know, Pokemon that are included. But again, if you guys want to go further into this, I would highly recommend checking this out on your own. There's also a weird little connection here, the light notice, which is that the monkey statue looks oddly similar to the strange statue from like the strange souvenir from Pokemon, I think Black and White. I think it was also in Gen 4, but I could be wrong. But yeah, it looks oddly similar to that, doesn't it? A really strange coincidence, but I thought it'd be worth mentioning because you never know with this kind of stuff. There's also the fact that in the trailer, there is a what seems to be a sort of new form of a Geodude, possibly a Steel type, because it has almost like a screw on its head, which could imply that we might be getting ourselves either a new convergent species or a regional form of a Geodude, which will look different. Might be a Steel type, which is, you know, kind of cool, I guess. It's just a bit different. I wasn't really expecting that, to be frankly honest. And again, as already mentioned, the DLC does take place in a new region, specifically called Kitakami, outside of Paldea. So forget the current map and the northeastern unexplored area. So again, it is very strange. It's very odd that they decided to not do anything with like the Paldea region itself, but literally are sending you to a whole new place. It does make for a strange situation, because normally we would be expecting them to stay in Paldea. I mean, in Sword and Shield, they did the same thing. They stayed in Paldea. They just stayed in the area around Paldea. Oh, sorry, around Galar, not Paldea. They stayed around the region. They didn't really go further beyond that. They still stayed in that vicinity. But this time around, they're going all the way away from it. Like, they're just kind of leaving the zone, and they're not really sticking with that, you know, with that in any part of, like, you know, the actual basis of, you know, the DLC. They're not using any of that as a basis. They're not using any of the islands, you know, the Canary Islands, the this or that. They're not using any of that as a basis for anything in this, which is honestly really strange. It does add like kind of an element of like fear to me in my head, because I'm like, oh boy, is this taking away possible future like locations for other full games they could have done if they're using this whole thing for a whole DLC. And it also makes me wonder if this, is going to be us going to a new location. Why couldn't this have just been a new game? Like, I'm just being honest. They're charging more for this DLC. They're charging more than they did in the past. So that would make me think that, hey, if you're charging more, I'm expecting more content. I'm expecting this DLC to be, bigger and more filled with content-wise than something like, Pokemon's, Isle of Armor and Crown Tundra. If it's not more than those, I would be heavily disappointed, and the price would be a total scam because it's like $35 they're asking. So if it is genuinely going to be larger, then I'm surprised they wouldn't have just made a whole new game out of this. Just use this as a basis for a whole new game, but instead decided like, hey, we're just going to make a DLC out of it. It's just a bit strange. Also, a big fear I have is these things are not coming out until fall and winter, okay? We're not getting any of these in summer, which means we're going to have to wait a honestly ludicrous amount of time until these games these DLC, I keep calling them games, but DLC are actually released. Like, we're gonna have to wait a long freaking time, man. We won't see anything for a long ass time, which is really strange because you'd expect them to be wanting to put this stuff out early, or at least like, do something about it, but it doesn't really feel like they're like in any sort of rush to get any of this stuff, posted or anything. It's just like, it's not posted, but like actually released, which is interesting, but it is strange. It is very strange, I must say. I'm a bit confused about what, they're going to do going forward. And yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm very curious where this is all going to go. So ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be it for this video. If you did enjoy it, then drop a like down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out and bye-bye.